So lads, I think this is another day of talking about the most delusional fan base in the history of sport, and this might be the worst thing I have seen. This might be the worst thing I have ever seen coming from the fan base of one Aya Wilson. Basketball fans are losing it after Jeff Teague and Cheryl Miller just dropped some hard truth bombs. Aya Wilson's bold claim about beating NBA players got shut down so fast it's got everyone talking. The aftermath? Pure chaos in the basketball world. But this conversation needs to just be stopped at this stage. It's ridiculous. What's good, everyone? Today we're diving into some serious basketball drama that's got the whole sports world buzzing. Aya Wilson made a claim that's got everyone talking. But Jeff Teague and Cheryl Miller just stepped in with some reality checks that changed the whole game. But it doesn't make this statement false, and the reason why this statement has to be made is because of idiots like the Aya Wilson fan base. Like, this statement should not have to be made. This is not beneficial in any way for basketball. The problem is this statement has to be made when people are actually arguing that Aya Wilson would be an NBA player. Aya Wilson not only wouldn't be an NBA player, Aya Wilson would not make any Division I college team. Let me break this down for you from the beginning, because this story is wild from start to finish. Aya Wilson, who's absolutely dominating the WNBA right now, appeared on If You Don't Know. We're talking about someone who's been crushing it in the WNBA. Multiple-time All-Star, MVP awards, championship rings, she's got it all. But what she said on this podcast, that's what got everyone losing their minds. During this conversation, Wilson didn't just suggest she could compete with Hart. She straight up said she could beat him in a one-on-one game. And not just barely win, she specifically said she'd win 8-11. For those who don't play basketball, that's not a close game. That's a pretty comfortable victory she's predicting. Now, let's talk about Josh Hart for a second, because this context matters. Hart isn't just some end-of-the-bench NBA player. This is a guy who's been a crucial part of some really good NBA teams. He was even on Team USA's World Championship squad. We're talking about someone who's proven himself at the absolute highest level of men's basketball. When Wilson made this claim, Hart's reaction was priceless. He just started laughing. Not in a mean way, but more like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. But here's where things got spicy. Wilson wasn't backing down. She looked Hart dead in the eyes and said, "Don't piss me off." She was dead serious about this. That's when Jeff Teague entered the chat. And this is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Teague, who's been an NBA All-Star and knows the game inside and out, decided it was time for some real talk. He came in with some facts that had everyone's jaws dropping. Teague's response wasn't just about Wilson's claim. He expanded it to make a broader point about the massive gap between NBA and WNBA players. He said Wilson couldn't beat any NBA player. Not one. Not even the guys sitting at the end of the bench. That might sound harsh, but Teague was just getting started. Here's where Teague's analysis gets really interesting. He started breaking down just how deep the talent pool in men's basketball is. He pointed out that most NBA bench players, not even the starters, just the guys who barely get playing time, were absolute monsters in high school and college. We're talking about guys who were dropping 40 points a game in high school and still averaging 20 in college, who I'm not sure can dunk and is a pretty poor three-point shooter. Think about that for a second. These are the guys who aren't even good enough to start in the NBA. The guys who might play 5 or 10 minutes a game if they're lucky. Even they were completely dominating at every level before making it to the pros. That's the level of athleticism and skill we're talking about. But Teague wasn't done. He started breaking down the physical aspects of the game that most people don't think about. The speed, the strength, the vertical leap. These aren't just slight differences. We're talking about fundamental physical capabilities that create a gap that skill alone can't bridge. This isn't about discrediting Wilson's achievements. She's a phenomenal basketball player who's done things in the WNBA that are absolutely incredible. She's breaking records, winning championships, and inspiring a whole new generation of players. But when we start talking about competing against NBA players, we're entering a completely different conversation. Let's dive into some specifics about what makes this such a mismatch. First, there's the speed factor that NBA players aren't just fast. They're explosively fast. We're talking about guys who can cover the entire length of the court in a matter of seconds. Their first step is so quick it looks like they're teleporting. Even the big guys in the NBA move like guards compared to most other basketball players. Then there's the strength aspect. NBA players aren't just tall. They're incredibly strong. Years of professional strength training, combined with elite genetics, create athletes who can power through contact that would stop most players in their tracks. This isn't just about weight room strength. It's about functional basketball strength. The ability to maintain control while absorbing contact, to finish through defenders, to hold your position against someone trying to move you. The vertical leap is another huge factor. When people watch NBA games on TV, they don't really understand how high these guys can jump. We're talking about players who can grab quarters off the top of the backboard, guys who can jump so high they can put their elbows on the rim. This isn't just about dunking. It affects every aspect of the game, from shooting over defenders to blocking shots to rebounding. These physical advantages create a cascade effect that impacts every aspect of the game. When you can jump higher, move faster, and power through contact more easily, it changes how you can play defense, how you can create shots, how you can finish at the rim. It's not just about being bigger or stronger. It's about how those physical advantages translate into basketball abilities. This brings us to another important point that Teague made: the level of competition these NBA players have faced throughout their careers. Most of these guys have been playing against elite competition since they were teenagers. AAU tournaments, high school championships, college basketball. At every level, they've had to prove themselves against other elite athletes. Think about what that means in terms of development. By the time these players reach the NBA, they've spent years competing against other incredible athletes. They've had to develop their skills while facing defenders who could match them physically. They've had to learn how to score against players who could jump just as high, move just as fast, and push back just as hard. That's why when Teague says Wilson couldn't beat any NBA player, he's not trying to be disrespectful. He's just acknowledging the reality of the physical gaps we're talking about. Thanks for watching and subscribe my channel.